All right, we're live. Just waiting for YouTube to catch us up, as always. Okay, there we go. Welcome live from behind enemy lines. Oh, that's my old one, isn't it? Welcome live from the crossroads of America. I mean, I was saying it for so long, it just comes natural to me. This new one I ain't got down yet. The Rick's Life as I See It, Shooting with Disabilities, a 1 hour talk show about guns, politics, or anything else that crosses my mind. Also answer questions from the listener. Just type them in the chat or send me an email at rickslifeasiseeit at gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com. There we go. I got a Patreon and all that good stuff. And what else was I going to say? That's about it, really. Just say who we got in the chat so far. We got Patriot. He's doing double duty because he's here in the thing as well. Then we got Midnight Range, Rich White, Kingpin. He's doing triple duty. Actually, he's here and on gun channels, and in the panel. And who else we got? Yonder Texas. He's doing double duty. Seven Wonders. Okay, there we go. All right, let me introduce my panel real here. I got Blind Shooter. How you doing?
Doing good, Rick. Thanks for having me.
Okay, then we got David, the Kingpin Bowling.
Hey guys, what's happening? Thanks for having me, Rick.
All right, then we got Patriot in the Dark.
Well, hello, fine sir. Everyone else?
Yep, good. So, I hope everybody's doing fine. I mean, as I was telling them before we went live, that it was in the high 50s here today, raining, but it was warm. So, that's good. I hope the cold weather's over. Because the older I get, the less I like it. All right. I got a question for the panel and the chat rooms here. Here's one off my list here. Are there any restrictions for each of us here on the panel to receive concealed carry license in your state? I.e., us who have whatever disabilities. Is there any restrictions in your state? Well, in Indiana, as far as I can tell, there isn't. So I shouldn't have a problem getting mine. There was no restrictions in Rhode Island either. And come to think of it, all those 6 other non-resident permits I had, there was no restrictions. So there could only be a few states, if any, that have restrictions. So, Blind Shooter, how about you?
Rick, I live in New York City, and you only get concealed carry if you carry more than $10,000 on a daily basis for work. Doesn't matter if you're able-bodied or disabled.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's. So, say you were carrying 10,000 a day, every day. Would they still issue you one being disabled?
Yes, they would.
Okay. All right. What about you, David? Maryland don't issue many either, does it?
I think you're muted.
Yeah, he's muted. So he must have stepped off for a minute.
Were you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say?
I was saying, is there any restrictions on carry permits in your state?
Oh, shoot. Yeah. I mean,
well, where I'm going with this is like if you have a disability.
Oh, that I don't know about. I'm not sure about that.
But there's all other kinds of restrictions on them, even if you're just i.e., a normal person.
Yeah, absolutely. Even like you have to go through all kinds of hoops if you say that your life is in danger. You've got to have like lots of actual solid concrete evidence proof. It can't just be, somebody's been following me around, or, you basically have to have your life threatened pretty close to actually somebody trying to hurt you before you can get something to carry. And then there's a business side where if you have a certain amount of assets that you can prove, that you need to protect, cash or property or something like that as a business owner. But it's pretty hard to get. It's almost impossible to get one.
And who else? Patriot. I
I
guess there's
live.
not. I guess there's not in Michigan.
Well, it's Michigan is a shall issue state. So as long as take the training and pass the test, the range test, and pay your money, they can't block you anymore. It used to be that you had, your county had a gun board, and it had the sheriff, and whoever else, lawyers or whatever sitting on there that would decide if you could. They got rid of that a while ago. Now um, you do have to pass the test though, and so if being visually impaired, you have to pass the test still. And like I did it without any electronics or any of the stuff I practiced with, just so that they could never come back and say, oh well, you used this to assist you, or some kind of nonsense. But there are states that I know that do have like a visual, like basically a visual test. I think that's DC, South Carolina, Minnesota. Don't don't quote me on that. I know a couple chats ago I spoke about those four states that had the actual visual requirements, but other than that, being Michigan is a shell issue. As long as you can pass the test and keep all bullets on the target, and all that kind of stuff. So as long as you can pass it, then you're fine.
Okay,
So
good.
even like I did, the part of the test is a written test.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh, mind you, where I said there's no restrictions, but like when I went in when I got mine in Rhode Island, my original one, I mean, it was a shell issue, but damn, they made it difficult. You had to get 3 letters of recommendation from people that know you. I mean, it could be friends, but they have to say what good character you are. You had to specify why you needed one. You had to go in front of a police board for them to ask you questions about it and all this kind of stuff. Then on top of that, you had to do at the range, had to score minimum of 195 out of 300, so 30 rounds at 25 yards. Then on top of that, whatever caliber, say you done it in a 9mm, all you were allowed to carry is 9mm and lower. So everybody tried to do it in the 45 ACP. That way you carry all the way down, So that was Rhode Island. Here in Indiana, it doesn't look that bad. Somebody in the chat asked me where I am in Indiana. I'm down here in the southern part, way down here between Evansville. I'm near there. I'm about 45 minutes to the east of Evansville, I would say. No, actually, I think I'm closer. I'm about the same distance to the Kentucky state line too. So that's what somebody was asking me in the chat there. All right.
We had another interesting question from Midnight out in the chat for Patriot.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
I'm back finally.
He said if you gotta pass the range test, how did you do that without your beeping gadgets?
Well, it was basically it's the same distance that I had been practicing, and you just line yourself up the same way. When it's not it was an actual outdoor setup, and if you place the target and stuff, you can kind of gauge the height and all that kind of issue. But if you're in like an indoor range, you're butted up right against your um, the table, and so it's a kind of an alignment thing, so it's not off, and it's a big target. It's
what was it,
what
7
do they say?
yards?
It's two of 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper, so it's like the size of your torso, a big torso. Um, can't remember if it was 9 9 yards. Ask Squib, he's
Okay.
out there. He probably knows.
Yeah, we didn't have a range test. We didn't have a written test.
No, but why does Patriot have one and you don't? You're in the same
Because he's
state.
blind and I'm not. I don't know.
Yeah, they're just trying to get more money out of me.
You know,
No,
look,
I just recently got mine. If you
I'm a site supremacist, so I mean.
No, site privileged.
Oh, sorry.
Hashtag site
No.
privilege.
No, when I took it, I think, when did I take mine? 2001. When did they make a shall issue? Was it 2000 or 2001?
It was 2001, I think.
Okay, so I took mine in 2001, and they said, pull the trigger 50 times. That's it.
Yeah.
You didn't have to hit. You didn't have to miss. You didn't just pull the trigger 50 times. There was no timing. There was no how well do you do mag changes? How would it, I mean, of course, everybody in the class were experienced shooters. None of us were newbies, so I mean, none of it was like, well, can you teach me how to shoot a gun? This isn't the place for that. The class was about laws, about what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do, how you're supposed to, so we went to the range and they said requirement is you put 50 rounds in that direction. So knock yourself out. We don't care if you get bullseyes or you miss every time. Just squeeze the trigger 50 times. And there was no written test. Yeah. So I don't know.
See, I think it was after maybe 2004. I could be mistaken about the time. But they had to actually take the target and sign it. And I think the instructor kept it.
That might have been when they changed it. Didn't they go from, was it 3 years to 5 years or 5 years to 7 years or something like that?
Yeah, there were some, I don't know what time it was, but I just know it when I took mine, which was 2 years ago. I don't know how long. I haven't looked at my license since then. But yeah, they actually had the target and kept it, and signed it and dated it and stuff. Just so that if it came back or whatever, I guess they have it. But I know that if you look up online, that's the thing. You kind of have to track things down and make sure you're not looking at a forum or something that's older because, all that stuff changes a lot.
Right.
The state police, they have their website. And initially, when I started looking, to get my CPL, I went through all the laws. You can't drive a tugboat drunk. You can't, steal a train. All sorts of the old laws, that are listed. And there was nothing that involved visual. You just had to basically put, I think it was 5 rounds on target, in one, consecutive times. So I mean, it was pretty easy either way. It's not like Texas where you got, 3 different distances and, 5 different targets and all sorts of stuff.
See, Rick, it used to be here that you had to be retired law enforcement or own a business in order to get a CCW. And when they came up with the CPL, they made it shall issue, but they still made each county responsible or able to have their own little stipulations. So like I lived in Oakland County and it was like, yeah, show up, pay your money and just prove that you went to the class and you're good to go. Macomb County was next door, was the first one to even have that sort of thing where they're like, we're not having any restrictions. Don't be a criminal, be over the age of 18 and take the class. That's it. Pay your fee. But Livingston County, 2 counties over, you had to go in front of a board and explain why, even after you paid the money and went to the class and did everything else, why you need it. And and at that point too, they were given the permits for like 3 years or 5 years or something. Yeah, they redid it. They came back and they redid it and they said, no county can tell you no, period. Period. Everybody shall issue across the board. They followed the Macomb County example and made every county, got rid of all the boards, got rid of the ones where you had to go in front of the sheriff, got rid of the ones, and made them all shall issue. And then at that point, they also said, now they last longer. It went from like 3 years to 5 or 5 years to 7 before you had to renew them. So at that point, they may have put a stipulation in there about being able to hit the target so many times and put in a written test. Is it still 8 hours?
Yeah, it's a an all day thing where you're doing all the laws and all that stuff, but it is.
And what we did was we got some people together at work that were all gun people. We all knew each other, and then we got some of our relatives, and one of the lead sales guys asked permission to use the boardroom at work after hours for the class. We all came in on a Saturday, and they cut us a break because they got a whole bunch of us at once, and they didn't have to rent. They rented a classroom at Bass Pro Shop. At the local Bass Pro Shop, upstairs is the gun range, and downstairs they have classrooms that these instructors can rent to use. So he used our facility, our overhead projector, our, no guns in the facility, just the movies and whatnot for training and all the seminar stuff. And then we went down to Bass Pro Shop. Everybody pulled the trigger 50 times, and he handed us our paperwork and smacked us on the ass and sent us on our way. And we were good to go. And yeah, maybe today that wouldn't fly.
Yeah. Now in Rhode Island, it was shell issue.
I mean, he could still smack you, I guess. I don't
but
know.
they,
I mean,
but they can.
Well, that's how you know you did a good job, Patriot.
Oh, okay.
See, you probably haven't been smacked on the ass lately, and you might, whatever.
You see that, guys? My show, and they just talk right over me. You notice that? But that's okay.
Did you say something, Rick? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I did.
What was that? Huh?
I was saying in Rhode Island that even though it was shell issue, they could still deny you, but they had to have a damn good reason that would, basically if you took them to court, they would win. And so a lot of times, very few got turned down. So.
See, just prior to me taking my test, they still had the board. And with the board, they could, in my county, they, it was up to them, and it was up to the sheriff and stuff. And that was kind of a touchy subject, because even though you could have passed everything, it could have been shot down with just their whim. Oh no, we don't want a blind guy doing this or whatever.
Yeah,
I just kind of lucked out. The time that I went was just happened to be, free and clear. But
yeah. Well, Midnight put in big capital letters in the chat, shall not infringe Rick. That means no over talking when I'm talking, Okay. So, I mean, plus on your license, as Squib was saying, it's what, your license 5 years, 7 years, or whatever? There we go. We lost Patriot again. What about, if you get one in New York, do you know how long they're for their blind shooter?
For your handgun, it's every 3 years.
Okay. What about you, David? In Maryland, if you can get one?
I'm pretty sure that the concealed carry permits are 5-year permits. I know my purchase license, what I call my handgun qualification license, what allows me to apply to buy handguns, lasts for 10 years. And then you got to do 16 hours worth of class time again, and another 8 hours worth of range time.
Okay. All right. Patriot, I was saying, how long does yours last for? 5 years? You must be having issues.
Oh, I always have issues. You know me, man.
Yeah.
I gotta jump out 5 or 6 times, just to make sure I'm still in the right chat, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember what the length was of.
Well, how do you know you're not going around with a expired license?
Because I'm in the gun shop, and they'll definitely tell me, because they like me spending money in there.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, actually, give me a minute. I'll scan it and see what it says.
Yeah. Now, here in Indiana, they have a 4-year license, or for a price of, I think it's $125, you can get a life license. So that's the one I'm going for.
Can you get a non-resident license?
Do what?
Can you get a non-resident license?
We're in Indiana?
Yeah.
I believe you can. Yeah.
Sweet. I'm applying for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that may not work where you're at, though, right?
It doesn't work where you're at, but, I mean, I do travel, so, states that cross-honor those permits, I will gladly accept. I already have the New Hampshire one.
Here, if you move from another state and we have reciprocity with that state, your permit's good, until you meet the requirements to get a Michigan permit. If you live in another state and you have a non-resident license and you're using that in your state as a license, and then you come here, it's totally invalid.
All right. Well, I've got, I mean, everybody knows this. I've got to change my Rhode Island one to a non-resident, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do it.
Let's say you lived in Rhode Island and you had a Connecticut concealed carry permit, and Rhode Island said, okay, you're fine with that in Rhode Island, and then you came to Michigan and you were concealed carrying, you're breaking the law here because you don't have one from your home state. If we have reciprocity with your home state, you have to have a license issued by your state, not a non-resident from another state. So that's the catch here.
Oh, okay. So like people who get, like me, I've got that Utah license.
Yeah, the Utah or the Florida one.
Yeah.
So so you had a Rhode Island license, right?
I had a Rhode Island license, yeah.
So if you came to Michigan to visit and you were concealed carrying and you pulled out your Utah license, cop would go, But if you pulled out your Rhode Island license and your Rhode Island driver's license, they go, okay, you're good.
Well, I better not get I better not come to Michigan until I get my Indiana license in.
Or just don't conceal carry, open carry.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. You got that there in Michigan, ain't you?
Yep, no permit necessary.
Yeah.
This here says that the Maryland carry permits are good for 2 years. And then something about every 3 years you can reapply, and then after like the third year or whatever, you got to retake the test or something like that. But basically, your concealed carry permit in Maryland's good for 2 years.
Okay. Oh, yeah, back to what I was saying about the Rhode Island thing. I told you all what you had to go through to get it, and it's good for 5 years. No. Was it 5 years? Yeah, it's good for 5 years, I believe. But at the end of that 5 years, you got to go through that whole thing again. You just can't fill out a form to get a new one. You have to take the test, go in front of the board, get the letters from people saying you're a good character, and all that crap. So I'm not sure how they're going to issue me a non-resident one. They might not, because I'm out. You know what I'm saying? But according to the paperwork, Rhode Island does issue non-resident permits. So I don't know how they do it. Because if you're a resident, you got to do the test. If you're non-resident, you don't have to. That's kind of unfair. So, but there we go.
Did you hear all that background stuff?
I didn't.
Okay, because I thought my mic was off, and I guess it was still on. Now mine's good until 2021. I got mine in 2017, so
yeah,
that's only 3.
Yeah, actually, I tell you what, I know what the one license of mine that I think needs renewing this year, and I got to check. Talking about it, I believe is actually my firearm light. You know, my CCL, not CCL, my CNR. You know,
for that's I think that's every 3.
And let's have a look. When's that run out? November. It runs out in November, so I got to apply for that before the end of the summer. Give them make sure it doesn't run out before I get the new one,
So I got mine in 01, and one of the guys I took the class with, one day in 2007, he said, hey, have you looked at your permit lately? I'm like, no, why? He goes, pull it out of your wallet, take a look at it. I'm like, yeah, what am I looking at? He goes, look at the expiration date. I go, oh, shit. He goes, yeah, it's been expired for a while. Yeah, I guess so. I forgot about it. He goes, me too. He said, but don't worry. There's a form you can fill out, and then you just send in your fee, and they'll just backdate you because you've already gotten it. Now, I'm sure I'm past the statute of limitations on that. Besides that, it might not be a bad idea just to retake the class just to see if anything's changed. Plus, my wife wants to get one, so I'm not going to just send her to class and not go too. But it wasn't kind of nice that they had that provision that if you let yours lapse, you can just do some paperwork and you're back in action.
I lied. My Rhode Island one's only good for 4 years.
Has anybody been denied when they went back to go reapply?
Nope.
Nope.
Hell no.
Better not. Now, that one of the things I think that might have changed with that new law here, I think they might have a limit as far as the window for re-upping your license or what, renewing it. So you might want to check on that. But taking the classes, I like to take the classes anyways because each instructor does different things, and some of them are stuck on their little spot of the training, and that's it. So it's kind of nice. Like my stepdad, I think he's taken, I don't know, 5 or 6 of just the regular straight CPL course, just because it just depends on where you take it, and who's teaching it, of what they actually put out there. I mean, you get the same books or whatever, but that doesn't mean they're each guy says the same thing.
Yeah.
And for the price of them, I mean, here where you can get, you can check out, and if you could do it with a group or whatever, you can find them that are cheaper or whatever. I don't know. Some states are crazy prices, but
The same books. You got a book too? Shit, we didn't even get a book.
yeah. Well, yeah, they gave me a book. I left it in the vehicle with the guy I rode with, and he still got it. That's been a few years, but yeah, there's a book, and they give you all the websites to look up all the new information, because obviously the laws change. So that's something you really want to keep up on, because
oh, absolutely, you need to keep up on all those changes. Yeah. Ohio 45 ACP says in Ohio, the CCW is honored by most states, and there is a non-resident license. And Seven Wonders says it's 5 years in North Carolina, but you have to pay a $5 pistol purchase permit every time you buy a pistol. But if you have a CCW, there's no purchase permit required. So it's strange. Oh, the only license that runs out this year is my Commonwealth of Massachusetts non-resident license. Runs out in June this year. That's $100 a year license. It's only good for 1 year, and it costs $100 a year to have it.
Do you really need that one then?
I did when I lived there, because in Rhode Island you're surrounded by Massachusetts and Connecticut. There's nowhere else to go. You have to go through those two to get anywhere. But yeah, living out here, I don't need it. And also that next year, I mean, if I get this one, if I renew it again, I'm good. But the year after that would be 2020. Unless they change the law between now and then, they require you to come into the office for an interview every 3 years, which kind of sucks. If I'm living in Indiana, why do I want to drive all the way or fly to Massachusetts? You know what I'm saying? So there we go.
And that's for a non-resident?
That's for a non-resident in Massachusetts.
So they want you to show up, so that you can't be.
I had to show up the very first
Arizona
time, yeah,
or something and get a non-resident.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
See, that's why they do that for people like you in Michigan won't apply for it. Because they don't want you carrying guns in their state if they can help it. So, all right. Let's have a look. What's my next question here? All right, this one is from Grim. He wanted to know, he's saying, how long should one train with pain in hands, shoulders, etc.? When pain starts, do you just push through it? Or what do you do? With me, training, shooting, whatever you want to call it, or practicing, or just going out there plinking. Normally, if it's mild pain, I'll just barrel through it. But if it's really hurting, I will stop. Because one, I won't be able. I stop. I ain't hitting the target, and it's becoming unenjoyable. Is that a word?
Unenjoyable, yeah.
Yeah. When I'm in pain, so I normally stop. So what about you, blind shooter? If you suffer from anything besides visually impairment? I mean, if you're in pain, do you quit or you keep on going?
I don't suffer from any pain, but I'm a firm believer in just push through it because the time will come where someone will most likely break in your house, and if you happen to be in pain at that time, the suspect's not going to go away.
True. That is a good point. That is a good point. You know, I never thought of it. Actually, to be honest with you, I never even thought of it from that angle. And I should have, really. Yeah. I mean, if my hands are cramping up and stuff and somebody breaks into the place, I'm going to have to somehow shoot the damn thing. So it might be worth practicing a little bit.
Or you can just, strip down naked and, wrestle them. Nobody wants to fight a naked guy.
Oh, I think if they see me naked, they're just turn and run anyway. So, what about you? What about you, David? Do you keep practicing with pain or?
Well, it all depends on if you're out practicing plinking, like just having a nice day at the range. If you're not feeling good, stop. You can always come back. If you're out there for training purposes, then I'd say work through the pain a little bit, and then when it becomes increasingly uncomfortable, then stop, because you can always go back. But if you've paid for a training course and it's a Friday and it's the only time you can do it, and I guess as long as you can still function with the firearm in your hands, then keep going. But if it becomes uncomfortable, stop.
Okay. What about you, Patriot?
I guess it depends on what kind of pain it is. If it's something that I always have, or hey, I slept wrong, or I was doing something, I pulled something. If it's more of if I work too hard and it hurts too bad, if it's going to damage something, I wouldn't mess with it. I would try to lay off and ice it or whatever. If it's something that's always there, something chronic pain or something, then
I mean, yes, what I'm saying is that everybody knows besides my back. So I mean,
that, but
and I've got
pretty tough,
and I've got arthritis. I normally can shoot. As I said, that's mild aggravation or pain. I normally just it's everyday pain for me. So it's part being normal for me. So I do it, but it's when the arthritis is flaring up, or my back is absolutely killing me. Then that's when, especially if I'm out there plinking, as David said, I ain't enjoying it. So why do it?
But, and that's what a lot of people don't think about. Like, I mean, if you work construction or whatever, you understand what it's like to go to work hurting and work through the pain. But there's a big difference between being in pain and then being injured. And if you're hanging out at the range trying to enjoy your day, and you go from being in pain to now being injured, think about how many more days you're going to miss training, or you're going to miss going out and enjoying the range day, or when you get back home, all the extra real life stuff that's going on. Now you've got an injury as opposed to, being sore or stiff or just kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah. What about you, Squibb?
Pain is merely weakness leaving the body. I got arthritis pain in my left hand right now, and I'm running network cable. So, yeah, I think I can handle being at the range.
All right. I guess he's one of them tough ass Marines.
I think he's.
Here's the thing: if you're in that situation, that self-defense situation, you got an adrenaline rush going. At that point, you're not feeling pain. Adrenaline will cut that pain, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah. Now, I'm glad you brought that up. I don't know if it's got to do with disability or not, but I'm adding it to the equation here. Is talking about adrenaline, you're not going to feel that pain. Now, I was listening to some chat. I don't know what chat it was about. Like, if you get broken into some people have hearing protection near their gun to hopefully have time to put it on if there's an intruder in the house. But normally, in a regular shooting, your adrenaline is pumping so hard you normally don't hear it. Your ears sort of block it off, type thing. So I've been told. So.
I think it's more you don't recognize it. The damage will still happen. If you're shooting, 357 or something, you might have, a bleeding ear if you blow your drum out. You might not notice it and you don't focus on it, but the damage is still there. It doesn't, stop your ears from being damaged.
Okay, more. See, I didn't know that. See, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean, you can get through it and your body will bypass it, but that damage will still be there if there is damage.
Yeah. All right. So we're getting an echo here from somewhere.
Oh, that's probably me.
Okay. All right. Anybody else got anything they want to bring up? I still have one more item on my list here. We're going to need some more questions, guys. We're getting through these too fast. If anybody got any questions, email me with them, or we can continue using them in the chat. I would appreciate it. Anything that you think that no question is too dumb?
I think somebody else in the chat got a question.
Sure. Midnight had one. I forgot to read it. He wanted to know. He said he wasn't being a dick, but he actually wanted to know, was your license in Braille?
No. Nope. It uses the same image as on your driver's license or state ID if you're cool like me and have to have a state ID because they won't give you your driver's license anymore.
They'll give you a goddamn gun license, but they won't give you a driving license. That's so unfair.
Yeah, the way some people drive, you do just fine, Patriot.
And I've actually got I've got old ones. I've got multiples. Passports, all that stuff. But no, it's just and it's a hard card as well. It's not a paper card any longer. It's just like a. I don't know if it's got a magnetic strip as far as all your information on there, but I know the one side has, the law briefs or whatever. Don't do this, don't do that. And then the other side, I believe, is just your numbers and your dates and all that stuff. So, but it uses the same image as your driver's license, so that when Squib is driving crazy on the sidewalk and they pull him over, they can match his CPL license with his driver's license, and they know right away if it's forged or not.
Yeah. Oh, Midnight Range said, thanks for me for asking the question. He said he's going to go back to being a dick now.
Okay.
So you need a topic? Is that what you're saying?
And actually, I have a couple questions I will send you later today.
Okay. Works for me.
Because some of the questions, I know we usually just talk about, how to shoot, how to carry, the disability things, but there are a lot of questions that are, more legal lines, which way questions, I guess, kind of thing like that. Okay. I can send you a couple of those that'll
work. That'll work.
Has anybody sent in topics talking about like the mentally disabled people? For instance, like people with Down syndrome or, other kinds of things like that. Have anybody sent any questions in about that?
No.
It should have been on that list. There was one that dealt with depression, but
I saw that one. I was hoping to save that one for next week, because I'm running out of questions here. I was going to bring that up next week. But
I'm sure people should ask. I mean, Night Strike's on here once in a while, and you got Squib, so we can kind of mutter through some of those.
Yeah.
He didn't think that was funny, did he?
No.
But I did say Night Strike, so watch out. He's probably going to show up.
Oh, I don't care if you think I'm depressed or that's a joke. That's
no, not depressed.
Speaking of Night Strike, Rick, I did just talk to him over on Rick's show, and he said that he would try to make it, but if he didn't, he wanted me to make sure I told you hello and thanks for the invite.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Yeah. I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, I don't show up on his show much anymore. I haven't shown up there for about 3 months now. I just need to get off my ass on a Tuesday night and get in here. You know, I'm getting old and crotchety, I think, in my old age, because I get comfortable in front of the, TV, and I sit there and I don't want to get up till it's time to go to bed. And a lot of times I'm not actually watching TV. I have the TV on. A lot of times I'm sitting there reading a book. I actually read real books. I know that's rare in today's society, but there's just something about the feel of a real book in your hand. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, talking about that, can you read Braille? Night Track, I was going to call you, Patriot.
I'm not very proficient at it, just because I've unfortunately stuck with the technology stuff more. I was geared for technology prior to losing my sight, and then I kind of jumped into training and stuff like that, which is a horrible thing to say. I should, spend the time. I had one of the best instructors in the world, and she's a awesome lady, but Betty Lujan Roberts, if anybody wants to know. But I don't use it as much as I should. And so, I mean, as far as reading books and, a lot of stuff, it takes me a long time.
Oh, okay. I was just curious.
No, and it's very important. That's one of the things that, to be literate, raises you up the levels and, job opportunities. When you're standing at a podium and you can be looking at everybody and reading at the same time, it really makes you look smart.
Oh, Yoda, Texas wanted to know at the very beginning of the chat, I forgot to read this one. Is this where I sign up for the free government cheese? Well, they haven't had free cheese since '83, as far as I can remember. I don't know if any of you there are old enough to know that. Way back in the '80s, they gave out free cheese. I don't know if that was over here, but we got it on the military bases over in Europe. They gave out free cheese. The U.S. government gave out free cheese to the military or anybody that was working for them. Plus,
not over here. It didn't happen stateside. I can tell you that for a fact.
Plus, they gave out free beef too.
But I can tell you that when you went to the commissary, you paid a hell of a lot less for a steak than you did out in town.
Oh yeah, because all they do in the commissary is recoup invoice cost. That was it when we done our meat. So.
Hey, Squib, can I ask you a question about the PX?
Sure, knock yourself out.
Do you save money shopping there?
No.
I didn't think so.
The commissary, yes. The PX, no.
Because I used to work for NSA. Well, not for NSA, but I was a contractor on NSA. And a couple of the guys there were military guys. And they, hey, you want to go to the PX with me? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I noticed everything costs the same in there as it did out on the street.
Here's the thing: the PX, you do not pay sales tax.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to save your 6%, okay, that's fine. But there were some things that the PX, they do have a sale flyer, but they have very few items in the PX. I mean, I've been to the really big ones that are like malls, and they've got stuff. But in general, there are a few items that are cheaper out in town, and then you don't pay sales tax. Most of the other stuff, unless there's a sale on it, your sales out in town are better. Now, the commissary, you will always pay less than the commissary. You will always pay less than the commissary. I mean, I used to get cartons of cigarettes at the commissary for my grandpa because, I mean, they were so cheap. They were so cheap. And then, once again, you didn't pay. Well, the reason they're so cheap, there were no taxes of any sort on them. So, but even on base, if you go to the gas station, the gas prices out in town are more competitive. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's more competitive. I mean, there are some things on base that are a little bit cheaper. If you go to the uniform shop, you'll pay less for 782 gear than you would at the at the Army Navy store, and you're also going to get it brand new. Or if you went to something like the Base Theater, the bowling alley, or something like that, or the golf course, the rates are going to be cheaper. If they've got horseback riding stables or something like that, you're going to get that real cheap. But in general, though, no. I mean, I'd still, if I was on base, I'd go to the PX anyhow. Like if my dad's in town, he's a retiree. If you want to go to the base? Hell yeah, I want to go to the base. But yeah, I as a kid growing up, I will say this: when I was a kid growing up, you could buy GI Joes at on base cheaper than you could at Kmart out in town. So there's some savings.
And
Now,
the
how
cool
it
thing
actually
now,
worked? How it actually worked there, David, was the PX was non-appropriated funds. That means they had to earn money to pay the salaries of their employees. The commissary was appropriated funds. The government paid their salaries so they could sell everything at cost. That's basic outline of it.
Cool. Okay.
Now here's something about the commissary. When you go check out at the register, the person that bags your stuff puts it in a cart, a double-decker cart, wheels it out to your car and puts it in the trunk of your car, and you're supposed to give them a tip. Now, there's no law that says you give them a tip, but we always gave them a tip. Well, and you couldn't go, I'm sorry, I'll bag it myself, I'll carry it myself. You weren't allowed to do that. They had to take it out to your car.
Plus, they were, I mean, because I worked for the commissary for years. They were classed as independent contractors, and we didn't pay them. That's how they earned their money, with tips.
They were usually the children of people in the military who lived on base. It was just their kids that worked there.
Oh yeah,
as baggers.
I remember doing it as a kid. You make some good money. You normally, I mean, back in my day, you got about 25 cents a bag when you took them out there. If somebody done their, bi-weekly shopping and they had maybe 15 to 20 bags, you made some good money.
Yeah, even if you give the kid a decent tip, you're still saving so much by going to the commissary versus going out in town. And every now and then there'd be a sale out in town that you couldn't pass up. But I mean, like, there was the one time I went to the Piggly Wiggly because drumsticks were 19 cents a pound. Those drumsticks made me so sick I'll never go back to Piggly Wiggly for meat again.
One of the things that you can do now too is if they have the exchange online, so you can go to the Navy Exchange and get basically everything that you can get at a exchange on base.
Yeah, a YouTuber I know named Backwoods Law told me about that yesterday in a live chat, and I looked it up, and that's kind of cool.
And it depends, because I mean, just like that, you got to look for the sales or whatever, but they do have sales. And I mean, I got my daughter's TV for her, and it was a lot cheaper than buying it local, and that was actually shipped. And they do send it. I'm sure it costs more to send what are the APO boxes, all that other stuff. I don't know. I just sent it home to my house here. So.
Yeah. Oh, for your info, Squib, though, the commissary stopped selling cigarettes. The government said, since we're appropriated funds, we don't want you to sell cigarettes. So the exchange has all the cigarette business now. And they're more expensive than they were in the commissary. Because you said we didn't make any profit on them. I remember when I used to be a smoker and I was working over in Germany, they used to sell the generic cigarettes that they used to give to the troops, right? They used to go for $4 a carton, and they gave out $2 coupons. You couldn't afford not to smoke.
Yeah. Or you can go to Mexico and buy Lucky Strikes for a quarter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, 8 out of 10 doctors prefer Cools.
Yes. Yeah, but they stopped selling cigarettes in the commissary because of the health issues, and they said since it's appropriated funds and you sell things that cost, they didn't want the cigarettes to be that cheap, so the exchange got them. So anyway, we're way off topic there, but
of course at that time they had the cigarette machines too. So
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. So you still have you got privileges to shop on base there, Patriot?
No.
Okay.
My daughter's mom, actually, she gets up next month. and she's in the Army Reserve, so we're
Okay.
used to that.
Okay. Oh yeah. Nothing wrong
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, no, I wasn't that lucky.
Yeah. All right. All right. All right. We're almost out of time, actually. So why I'm here real quick, let me say I'm so far behind today. I didn't feel well just earlier on, so I just laid down on the bed until about a half hour before the show started. And I didn't get none of this organized. But the question for Saturday's show to win the All I Got was this. Oh, yeah. I think. Did somebody win that one? I can't remember what it was now. Well, was it the envelope with just goodies? I think it was. I can't remember. I have to look it up now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think I gave him my last hat out, and that's an empty box. That's what I was looking. So what's that? There ain't no hat in it. I have to see who won the. So I have to check. All right. The question for basically what it is I got a whole package here of stickers and patches, and the best patch in there is the Spartan Arms out of Las Vegas patch here. That's a really good patch, and then a bunch of stickers from them and stuff. That's all in there, plus my sticker. But the question is there. What I wanted to know was, before he became the president of the United States, I wanted to know what two carry pistols that Donald Trump used to carry in New York City. So that's the question. So I just need the answer. Mail the answer to Rickslifeasiseeit at gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com and get them in before lunchtime Saturday.
What's the prize pack this week, Rick?
It's just a package of just patches and stickers. That's all. I'm out of hats.
All right, I'll throw.
Here's my last one.
Some of you guys might know him from the chats. Southpaw RX. He donated some stuff for me to do a giveaway on my channel a little earlier. He just sent me a couple new stickers in the mail, and I'll throw a few stickers into that one too. So whoever wins, I'll send me their address and I'll throw them a couple extra stickers.
Okay.
I'm not gonna tell you what kind they are, but I got some more stickers. I'll send them.
And speaking of sending stuff out, those packages for the giveaway just left my house today. So hopefully within the next day or so, they'll be actually at the post office.
Yeah. Now, as everybody knows, my packages I send out once a month. Now, January is a 5-week month for me, so my paycheck's this week. So, as you can see, I've got them sitting here. They'll all go out this weekend. So, whoever won a prize, it's coming. So, there we go. All right. I'm getting confused here. Gizzard won last week's, right?
No.
I mean, did he win? It sounds. Did he win another time this month too? I'm trying to remember. I'm getting confused. I have to go back and look.
Who'd you say won, Patriot?
I want to say it was James Stewart, but that's probably.
Well, there's Jason Stewart. Jason Stewart's out in the chat right now.
No, it wasn't Jason Stewart. I would remember that.
I know it started with a J.
Yeah. Well, I'll go back and listen to him. You know.
Yeah. I just listened to it, and I'm bad with names. So
yeah.
Whoever won,
mine.
just shoot me their address, Rick, so I can send them over stickers.
I will do.
All right.
I will do that. So, all right. So we still got 5 minutes to go. Anybody got anything they want to ask or bring up?
I'm surprised you didn't talk about the State of the Union address.
Well, I was going to say
that'll be on Saturday's show.
Saturday.
Yeah.
I do have a question just to let set in people's heads for the week until next week. If, with self-defense, we all obviously live somewhere. Is there any other things that you do security-wise, basically to keep yourself safe, with a disability or otherwise? Security lights, security systems, tax, whatever.
Yeah. Well,
Just to think about until next week. I'd like to talk about that because
we can talk about that next week.
Yeah, things about like security alarms and that kind of stuff came up on the Daily Gun Show, and I think they're going to do a show on that sometime. But I was thinking other things, the security lights, how do you, basically keep yourself safe with, deliveries in town or, whatever. I mean, because obviously there's things that, we just don't carry guns to,
Yeah, you're right. So the question I had a question lined up for here, but we'll use that one next week too. So there we go. We went off topic a little, but that saved some time, and that saved me a couple of questions as well. So
do you remember what point in time in the show Saturday you read off the winner's name?
About halfway through.
About 30, 31 maybe.
It was around 30, between 35 and
ish.
Yeah, it was 30 to 35 ish.
Okay, cool.
The hour. So. All right, I'm going to say that's it, guys. I'm going to shut her down because I don't feel well, and I'm going to go eat. And in case anybody's interested, I had this last week. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I'm having it again. I'm having a fried egg sandwich. And a breakfast sausage patty. I'm going to I'm toasting the bread, mayonnaise, cook the sausage patty, put that on the bottom, then a fried egg, put that on top of that, put them together. A couple of those I'm going to cook myself. And if I don't feel well, that's definitely going to take me over the top. So that's what I plan to have, and whether I actually get around to doing it or I'll just sit in the chair and read a book and drink a cup of tea might be more like it. It's not that I don't feel sick. I just feel ugh. I don't know how to explain it. So
I made omelets for my daughter since she decided that it was an ice day and there was no school. So we made omelets this morning.
Oh, you had omelets this morning?
Yes, with
that's right.
Mushrooms.
What'd you have in them?
Mushroom, cheese, and bacon.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, it was a little surprise because I asked her last night, and she says, "Well, if it's school, I'll just have an English muffin. But if there's no school, then we can have eggs and bacon, and
I don't do cheese. Somebody's saying, don't forget the cheese.
Yes.
I don't do cheese in my fried egg sandwich. I'm sorry. If I go to one of those fast food places like McDonald's or Burger King, I always specify no cheese. I cannot stand cheese on a breakfast item, for Christ's sakes. Cheese.
What about
sandwich and hamburgers?
What about the bologna and red onion sandwich?
That's good too. Yeah, that's all right.
Okay, good, because I had those again, and I put cheese on them this time. So.
Well, yeah, you if you're into cheese, you can do that. Now, don't get me wrong, I like cheese. I mean,
so you won't put cheese in an omelet?
Very rare. I don't like cheese in the morning. I just don't know. I don't know why.
How do you hold an omelet together without cheese? Hey, somebody get Midnight in here so you can explain that.
What do you put in there? Twigs and sticks? You like all that twigs and sticks in there, I bet.
I'll put onion, mushrooms, peppers, that kind of stuff.
Twigs and sticks.
Yeah, but cheese, no.
It's not an omelet without cheese.
And we had this discussion before.
It's an egg sandwich.
Okay, wait. I'll interject something. Okay, so a hot dog is a sandwich and a Slim Jim is a candy bar. Is a Pop-Tart a pie? Ooh.
Yes.
It is a pie. Okay.
Yes.
All right, just want to make sure. Just want to make sure.
Yeah. Now, back to the cheese thing. Now, I do eat cheese. I make cheese and tomato sandwiches or cheese and onion sandwiches. Now, I won't use American cheese because that's goddamn eating. That's only 2 molecules short of the goddamn plastic. But, you know, I like cheddar cheese, sharp cheddar. So I normally make my sandwiches using sharp cheddar. And if I make a cheeseburger at home, I'll normally put cheddar cheese on it. But if I go to a place and they give me a cheeseburger, it's normally American cheese on it. I will eat it. That's why when I go through a fast food joint and they go, "You want cheese on that?" And I would say, if I wanted goddamn cheese, I would have said so. You know.
Just for the record, American cheese is not American cheese. The first cheese of America was like a Monterey.
If you go to the supermarket, this is the little thing that everybody can do. Well, Patriot would need some help, but go to the supermarket and pick up your pack of American cheese or any 90% of the cheese on the shelf, and read what the bag says or the package says. It says cheese product because
that's
it's
right.
not really cheese.
Yeah, that's right. You know, it's
pasteurized.
You know,
or no, what is it? What the Canadians always say there, processed cheese.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's
look, Rick, you can be a cheese denier, but when the osteoporosis gets you, I don't want to hear it.
Hey, I don't have that problem because I eat ice cream.
Oh, well, then everything's fine. All right.
Absolutely.
On your omelet?
You know, fried ice cream. I want to try that one day. You know. So. Oh, anyway, we're just getting into a food chat here, so it's I'm calling it a night. So because see, you got me all flustered now talking about cheese. You know. Oh God! All right, guys. I want to say thank you all for being here. You know. Yeah.
Oh, hey, you know what else would go good with that cheese? Is a green bean casserole.
Oh God! As I told you before, that should have been buried with the lady who invented it when she died.
All of you guys need me to come to your houses and redo your menus because, oh my gosh, some of the stuff that, I don't eat very much. I'm super picky, and half the stuff,
Oh, but did you know what the #1 selling cheese is in America? And it's not
Munster cheese.
Mozzarella.
Nope. Mozzarella.
Yeah,
mozzarella is the #1 selling cheese in America. I'm full of this kind of information, you know.
That's cultural appropriation.
You know, but I think that's because of the amount of pizzas people eat in this country. You know. All right, guys, I'm getting out of here. Thank you, crowd, for being here. I don't know who's on chat next because it doesn't do one anymore.
That would be Matt's.
Matt will be at 9 o'clock, but Clover used to do one at 8.
Political one.
But he doesn't do that anymore. So
you can check out Night Strike and Roll Call 219 later tonight on Rants and Raves on Roll Call's channel.
Okay, that's right. Oh yeah, Roll Call asked me when I was going to come up and buy a gun at his store when I have the money. I will come up there one day. Yeah, and there's another guy. I don't know if he's on this chat or I see him on Saturdays. There's another one that has a gun shop down in Evansville, too. I need to go check him out as well because he's closer. Roll Call's way up there towards you guys up there, up near, he's closer to Tony in Illinois than he is to me. So, all right. I'm out of here, guys. So I want to say thank you all for being here in the chats, and I will see you on Saturday at 3 p.m. for Rick's Life as I See It. That's 3 p.m. Eastern, the only time that anybody needs to know.
That's right.
So, good night, everybody.
#Porky.
Night, Rick. Feel better.
Give him the bird.